So we are to attack the town here of, let me just go to take out the enemies just to show you what is the first objectives of this scenario. We have the Steinbrook bridge in here, and we have a valley. We have here Lomas Villa, and these are the first two objectives. You can either click on the objectives, and they are going to be shown here in scenario objectives. We have the Steinbrook Bridge and Lomas Villa. In this first video, I'm going to utilize the same strategies that you're going to find on the tutorial, in the video tutorials for the game. I am actually going to leave on the description the link for the YouTube video tutorials that have been made a lot of years ago that are very useful. But if you want to have a more detailed explanation, you can follow my video here. So what do we have here? We have a bridge here, and we have Lomas Villa here, which is in a hill. So basically, just a quick understanding of the map. Everything that is white or gray, light gray, is basically high ground, and the darker it is lower ground. So we have here a river. Eventually, this blue line is a river. This thing here are pine woods. You can actually understand and investigate what type of terrain it is by right-clicking here in each of the places. For example, here it says pine woods, and if you go here, you can see that there's a brown line. These are, as you can see, it's going to be a little bit difficult because sometimes it is going to register whatever it is in front of it. But here you can see that we have roads. By the way, in the manual, you can find all of the information that I'm giving here. But if you are just trying to see what this is, if you would like it, this is an excellent video for you. This is complex. This is a complex Kriegspiel, digital Kriegspiel, that I think, in my opinion, the level of complexity, the learning curve is very steep. Take that into account. This is a very, very complex Kriegspiel, and trust me, is one of the most amazing software about strategic thinking and strategic planning and tactics that you will find in the market. And the best thing about ComOps 2 is that you are going to get a free scenario, which is this one here, that comes completely free. This is like the demo, so to speak, but it's the entire game that will allow you to play this scenario over and over. There are so many ways to do this. There are so many approaches that you can have in order to win this scenario. There are so many places in the map, and there are plenty of time. This is Kriegspiel that you will have to take it slowly. With that being said, I just hope that you are now prepared to enjoy this beautiful thing that we have here. So, as I was saying, we are going to take Steinbrook and Lomas Villa. using the strategies of the developers. So let's begin. We are going to do the contingency planning right now. Contingency planning is a very important and a key concept that you have to understand with complex Kriegspiels, especially if you want to be a serious wargamer and you want to take this to the next level. What is military contingency planning? Basically, is the process of developing strategies and detailed plans to address potential threats, potential unexpected events, and it will ensure our forces to be prepared to deploy and act rapidly for securing objectives. In other words, contingency planning is everything that we're going to plan in advance for anything that the opposing forces would present to us. So we could be more prepared at the time of developing our strategies. Let's turn on the units that we have here. As you can see, we can see here that we have a bunch of units in the area of the bridge, and we have another amount of units, X amount of units here in Lomas Villa, in the urban area over here. In ComOps 2, we have eventually intelligence reports from our reconnaissance, and everything that we see is what we know that the enemy has. This doesn't mean that it is exactly the position or exactly the amount of units that might be in these areas. If you click one of those, you're going to see down here in force, you're going to see here where it says sighting, you're going to see sightening age. This is how long we've been informed about the whereabouts of this counter, and it says current. Reliability is vague, and if you click all of them, you're going to see the same situation. We all know that if we have a vague reliability, this doesn't mean that this is exactly truth. So you're going to see down here, and it says current. You can click here as well. You can click this button, which is the same as clicking I. What this tells us is that we can say that, relatively speaking, this is what we're going to find here. Now, the contingency planning here would be the following, and I'm going to follow, as I said before, the same contingency planning of the developers. One thing that could happen is that once we send our troops to take Steinbrück and they start crossing here, they will find themselves in this valley, and there could be a moment in which the troops that are defending Lomas Villa will move down here, and they are going to reinforce whatever is happening here, depending on the situation. If that happens, this means that we need to have some sort of forces deployed in here with which we can defend the attack in this area. And the best place to deploy them is in this small hill. You can see here that if we place them here, we are going to have visibility over here. So we're going to overwatch this section of the opposing hill. To do that, we need to find with our own units, we need to find which units are going to be the best to be placed in here and be ready for the moment that these units try to reinforce. We know that we have a line of troops in here that when we start the attack, they are going to fight back. It could be that they fall back and rout, so they're going to break, or it could be that they're going to give us a fight and we could be having trouble in pushing them back. Let's remember that we don't have anything that could help us back in this area. So we need to push very, very aggressively into Steinbrück to get ourselves a hold of this other side of the river. We have to cross the river. So if you ask yourself, why are we crossing here? Why is this the only way? So anything that is not a heavy road bridge, as you can see here, this is a heavy road bridge. You can see the terrain info, crossing data. Basically, the crossing data is this. You can see that it says that is unprimed. This is another important thing that we have to note in here. This is the only area in which we can cross from the river that is surrounding our position. Here we have a small crossing point that is not possible for tracked units to cross. This one here is a light bridge that is not going to be, it is not a good point to cross again because first of all, this area is after the river. So you first have to cross the river in order to reach here. So because the river does not allow us to move further with our troops, just if we have infantry, but also is going to reduce, is going to have a 5% of movement for troops, which is a substantial decrease in movement because the infantry would have to find fords or to find a way to cross the river. So basically the only way that we can cross is through here. So this becomes a choke point. So it's like a funnel, in which you have to force the troops in. So we will have to use our troops. Now, it is always good to understand what is what is the type of forces that you have at your disposal. So if you see here, there are in the counters, you can see small icons. There's a 1 bar here, 3 dots in here. You can see 2 in here, 2 bars. In here we can see an X, another X in here, 2 bars in here, as you can see. So what this is, well, 3 dots means a platoon, 1 bar means a company, 2 bars means a battalion. Here we have another battalion, and 1x is a brigade, but in the case of our forces that are American forces, it is a division. Those are the hierarchy levels of our counters in here. So the other important thing is that you can see small silhouettes, small pictures here. Here we can see a tank, here we see a half track, here we see a flag. The flag, this is important to note, the flag is the HQ. Here we have an HQ, here we have a mortar drawing. Here we have more tanks and half tracks. Here we have support artillery. And this one here also has, all of the counters have as well an abbreviation of the name. So if you see, for example, here that it says 318, it's the 1st 318th Battalion, Regiment Battalion of Infantry. So we have the Infantry Regiment Battalion here. This is the Infantry Foot Regiment. This is the Infantry Regiment. This is the Infantry Battalion with a support of tanks, which is the C Company. Here we have the Tank Battalion, the 35 Tank Battalion, with an addition of a support in the form of the C Company, support of infantry. And down here we have the division commander. The division commander, if I select it, you're going to see that it shows us green lines. Green lines in Command Ops 2 means the connection with the subordinates. So this is the same for this HQ. It is going to connect to all of the subordinates. If we click this one, we see the connection with all of the subordinates. The other thing that we have in this scenario as the Americans is 2 battalions of artillery support. We have the 22nd Field Artillery and the 66th Field Artillery support. These 2 are going to be important for bombardment. These are the support artillery. We're going to talk about everything here, so bear with me. Let's analyze this regiment of foot. Now, regiment of foot, the only regiment of foot that we have is the battalion, the 1st Battalion of the 318th Infantry Regiment. So these guys are good to move in rivers. They're good to move in forests. So let's take into account that mechanized troops cannot cross woods. This one as well cannot cross woods. The only one that crosses woods is this one. Here we have different companies. We have different armored companies. The Able Company, Charlie, Delta, Barker, so on and so forth. And if we see here where it says forces, we can go to ANS and we can see different units that are contained in these counters. You can see that, for example, here, the Able Company of the 35 Tank Battalion has 5. This is the amount of units. It has 5 M4 Shermans with 75 millimeters, 3 M4 Shermans with 76 millimeters, 3 of M4A3E2 Jumbo 75 millimeters, and it also has a support 1 howitzer M4 105 millimeters. So this support that we see here, this howitzer support, is going to be present. By the way, it's the same howitzer support that we have here, which is 18 M7 105 millimeters, which are these are the priest howitzers, so-called. And here we have 1. If you double click, you're going to see it here. You're going to see a picture of it. We have with the A company of the 35 and the D and the B company as well. We have 1 of those. But you can see then that we have the D company. The D company is just 11 M5A1 Stuarts, which are a little bit better, but this doesn't have support. And this one, they are just trucks, half tracks, and one M8 37 millimeter gun, a 30 cal MG, which is this one, which is not so powerful. Knowing this, we know that the most powerful companies here are Able and Barker companies. Now let's have a look here. Here we have 3 companies of foot. You can see that each of these companies of foot, they have a support 57 millimeter M1 anti-tank gun within their own companies. And also we have another platoon here, which is made up of 3 75 millimeter M1 anti-tank guns. So we have to take that into account. Anti-tank guns, we have 3 of them here. You can also see that we have 300 armor-piercing 75 millimeter ammunition here, which means that if we have 3, this means that for each of the 75 anti-tank guns, we have 100 armor-piercing ammunition for each. Also, we have a mortar platoon with 6 81 millimeter M1 mortars, which they're going to be very handy at the time of doing a bombardment. Now let's move on into this one. The 51st Armored Infantry Battalion. With it, we have a bunch of half tracks. You can see that each half track is going to be presented also with a 1 57mm anti-tank guns just for support. So we have two, which are the Able and Barker Company of the 51st. We also have in here the support C company. Another interesting thing here is the Able Company here, which is the engineer company of the 51st Battalion. If you see here, there is a symbol here that says that these guys can build bridges and they can also prime and unprime bridges. And what I was just saying is also reflected here, which is said that they have a bridge building capacity, as you can see there. They can build bridges. So let's say that you can send the engineers to the river here and they can start building the bridge, but it takes time. And finally here, we can see that our combat command, Able, which is our Army Division HQ, it has a good amount of Shermans, one M5A1 Stuart, three M5A1 Stuart, and a couple of half tracks and trucks. If you go here to command, you're going to see the name of the commander, which is Herbert L. Ernest, which is the Brigadier General. And here we see a little bit of biography of that guy, historical biography, which comes very handy and very nice, just for flavor effects. Okay, now that we know our troops, I can give you a couple of interesting insights here. So all of these windows here are going to be either different or not appearing on your screen, because you have all of these buttons down here which makes them to appear. This is how I like to have them, so I can see stuff like the order of battle and control my troops from here as well. Just by seeing the name, you can control them. Here you can see the 66, the 22, whatever. Here is the section in which we're going to be able to control our indirect fire orders. This is the scenario objectives that gives numbers and a small gray bar at the side that is going to visually make us understand how are we faring. It also can be seen here in this gouge here. It's going to be in this side where it says win, if we're winning or losing. We have the mini map here with which we can move our camera here. We have the controls for the time here. And one important thing up here within the controls window is this area. A picture of the weather and picture of the of the light conditions. But if you hover here, you can see more information, which is something that comes very, very handy when you try to understand your terrain. It says that it's night, and it says that we are in clear skies. It gives you information about the temperature. We are in snow, and what is the maximum visibility that you have, depending, of course, on the lightning conditions. Here we have our tools window and our orders window. Every time that you click one of the counters, you will find this thing to be active. Here we see the task window. This is the force window that we were discussing a few moments ago. And here we have the task This is a very important window in which we're going to talk about this in a few moments. It's a very important window in which you can really, really modify the orders that you give to your counters. Let's move on with the next step. Once we have understood what we have at our disposal, we have to find ourselves with the following answer. Which of all of our forces will be the reserve? Reserve is another concept that must be in your mind every time that you at least want to have some amount of success in a military operation. So the reserve must be one of these three. We have 3 battalions and we have to find one reserve. And I will select this back battalion with this tank battalion as the reserve. These two, they are going to be the battalions that are going to lead the attack to take Steinbrück. So we're going to, based on that, we're going to give now orders to the lieutenants, that are in charge of the battalions here. The good thing about Command Ops 2 is that you could click your brigadier general and you just come here and you just give orders. You just tweak a little bit of the orders and you just sit and watch. The reason we have this level of operations in which we have the possibility to command the division or the brigade is because we can just give the order as the brigadier general and we just expect our subordinates to do the tasks. But you can go deep into the level of command, into the hierarchy, and you can micromanage at any level, including platoon level. But it's not the optimal way to approach for Command Ops 2, but you can still do it. If you like to micromanage, go ahead and do it. What we're going to do is to separate and reduce the micromanagement. Instead of controlling each of the companies, each of the platoons, we're going to just give orders to the battalion lieutenants. Okay? So we're going to go right now into the 2 sections, the reserve and the HQ, which is going to stay here in Winterspelt, and the section of the 51st Tank Battalion is going to stay in Valmerath. So for these 2 guys, we're going to take the battalion commander here, and we're going to take our orders tool here, tool set. And what we're going to do is to set here to defend. You can see here, this one here. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to click over the counter. And it is going to appear 2 things will happen here. Now that we have given the order, you can see here different types of orders: attack, probe, delay, secure crossing, whatever. Note that we have given the order and something happened here in regard of this yellow square. This means that this is the area in which the whole battalion is going to be physically located in this square. So it's for you to make a mind note about the space that all of these troops are going to occupy. Apart from that, when you give an order, you can see a change in here. All of these are white, as you can see. And this one became the 35th Tank Battalion HQ, is now pink. This means that we have given an order to this specific counter. So now you know here which are the counters that have orders on them. Another visual thing that we can, it's a visual cue about what we're seeing and which are the things that are happening is this white bar. The bar here is olive, something like that. But here is now white. This indicates us as well that this battalion counter has now orders on it. So those are important things to take into account. Okay, so now we just click away and we want to tweak a little bit of that order. So we click the counter and we click again. You see the small square here that has the same symbol of this. This is the defense symbol. We click it. And now we can take the task, edit task. So it's a defend order. And here we have one thing that is very, very important in Command Ops 2, which is unspecified. Unspecified basically means that we're going to let the AI, so we are, let's remember that we're this guy, right? We are the Brigadier General here, Herbert. And we just gave this order. So unspecified means that this guy will, the AI of this battalion lieutenant is going to decide by itself what type of formation is going to use in this defend order. This is by the symbol of the question mark. But we have different options here. You can see we have round column, road column, line, successive lines, left echelon, so on and so forth. So if we really want to be specific, just click here. And we're going to be specific here. We're going to give the order in situ. The order of in situ means that it is going to be stationary. It is not going to change its formation. It's simply going to stay there and wait and be in a defensive position. That's it. That's what in situ means. We have a start and an end. These are dates in which the order is going to start at 6:05, which we are at 6 right now. So in 5 minutes, the order is going to be received by radio, and this guy is going to give orders to all of its subordinates to be in a defensive position in situ in Valmerath. And this is for how much time you want them to be. So we're going to go for, we cannot go more than 5 because this is the duration of this thing. You can see for the day 1 and day 5, it's 5 days, the whole operation. So for the whole operation, they are going to stay there unless we give them another order. For the sake of not making this more complex, we're not going to touch anything here. But one thing that we're going to do here is that the rest thing here, we're going to say none. That's all. No rest. No rest, and that's it. Okay, now we're going to go to the Brigadier Commander, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we click here, click those, we click the actual counter, we go for in situ, and we go down here for no rest. There we go. So now we have the 35 Tank Battalion HQ with orders and the CC Able Army Division HQ with orders of maintaining in situ defensive positions. Excellent. Okay, now let's move on into this section here. Let's give the order to attack for these two battalions. So we select the 51st Infantry Armored Battalion here. This is the commander, the lieutenant. If you want to check what is the name of the lieutenant, you can go to command. There's no name, so you can imagine whatever name you want. And we give here the order of attack, this one here. So we click here, and now we could go and just click here, okay? Just click here, and there is going to be an order, and that's it. But what we're going to do is to press Shift on your keyboard and click in front of the battalion. This will create a FUP, which is a grouping area in which these guys are going to group themselves before going to attack. And then you hit the objective or whatever you want here, and there you go. So here we have the attack order, and here we have the FUP order. Simple as that. We're going to do the same to this one. So again, we hold Shift, we regroup in here, and then we send the attack order here. Good. Now we can see again that all of the guys that have, all of the counters that have orders are now pink, and they have also in the counter on the map the white bar. Now I'm going to click this one and do a refinement here with this attack order. Let's just bring this in here again. And now what I'm going to do is to say here that a couple of things that we want to do here. We're going to go for no rest, of course. And also we're going to do the artillery direct support. We're going to check this one and secure crossing, meaning that because we have engineers here, if there's a need to do something on the bridge, they are going to secure the crossing. And artillery direct support means that we're going to be using this 51st platoon, which is called the mortar platoon, in support of our attack. The same goes for these guys, because they have support in this platoon with the anti-tank platoon, and they also have support with mortars. So here again, we're going to go for artillery direct support only and secure crossing as they move. Perfect. So now with that, we have given orders to all of our attacking battalions, our attacking sections, if you may. And we have one reserve, and we have given also to them an order. So we have optimized the more we could the development of this plan. Eventually, if we hit play, these guys are going to start giving orders, and they are going to start reorganizing into the FUP, and then they are going to go into the attack. They're going to walk slowly, they're going to do their own thing, they're going to think by their own, and this is the important thing. But before doing that, let's remember that we talked about in the contingency planning that we wanted to have a counter for any movement that they send from here. And that is the fact that we have to move here a couple of units that will support us. And those units are going to be the Barker Company of the 35 Tank Battalion and the B battery here, this one here, the B battery from the Brigadier Commander. So we're going to move those two into this forward edge that we have here. What we can do before sending any orders to these guys is to simply to plot how much time the movement of these troops is going to take to here. How do we do that? Well, with the tools here, we just select the B company and we go for motorized here, and you say, what is the quickest or shortest or covered path? The quickest path, if we click here and then here, we're going to see a line appearing here. This is going to plot how much time is going to take to reach this edge of the hill. And it's going to take roughly 21 minutes. We do the same with the B battery over here. And we see that it's going to take 25 minutes. So we're going to say that perhaps 23 minutes for both. Now that we know that information, we can synchronize the movement of this battery and this company to be exactly at the moment that these guys at least have pushed back this first line of defense that the Germans have here. But instead of doing that right now, we're first going to see how this develops, and then we're going to try to synchronize the movements. And to do that, you will have to follow the next video. So see you in the next one.